Ladies and gentlemen, planes are about the one place where it is impossible to walk away from a noisy and annoying trunk. You're stuck, and so is everyone else on board. It might be okay, or it might mean hours of no sleep, rowdiness, and general unpleasantness for every other fare-paying passenger. In-flight drunken incidents also pose a very real and serious threat to the flight safety and security. They can cause an aircraft to divert, forcing an unplanned landing at the nearest airport where the police will be waiting with handcuffs. All that costs a vast amount of money and probably several hours of delay for everyone else on the plane wanting to reach their destination peacefully and safely. We've all read and heard the horror stories. It's a growing problem. Incidents occur regularly on all airlines and in every cabin classes. Passengers taped or tied to their seats because they're physically unmanageable and probably violent. Brawls breaking out between the seats or even drunk passengers trying to open the cabin door midway over the Atlantic. It's all happened before. It's not a myth. Globally, airlines recognize the issue and most have a policy on alcohol. This usually means not allowing people on board who are already drunk and not serving excessive amounts of alcohol. Those. Many, but not all airlines in Europe already charge passengers for drinks rather than offering them free as free service. And not just for economic reasons. Some have even stopped supplying it altogether. Aeroflot is a good example, but it also has a big history of incidents. It has had a history of serious drunken incidents on its international flights, so it stopped selling alcohol in economy class on 7 long-distance routes with the most incidents, Moscow to Havana or to Bangkok as example. The airline now says the problem is much reduced. Statistics on what we know as air rage and drunken behavior is only one element within this, are not easy to find. Figures are quite often based on anecdotes, partly because airline crews normally only have to report incidents that directly affect flight safety. I fly a lot personally, more than an average person. Honestly, in all my years of flying, I have witnessed this kind of problem very rarely. And statistically, I would say that the chances of traveling on a flight and experiencing excessively drunken behavior are probably relatively slight. This is not to deny that there is a problem, particularly on certain routes and certain airlines. There definitely is, and low-cost carriers seem to suffer more than their fair share. While I believe we can do more to control and reduce the impact of excessive in-flight drinking, I also believe that a small minority should not be allowed to penalize the majority. There is also a cultural aspect to this that should not be forgotten. In many countries, for example, wine-producing European countries like France and Italy, it is completely normal to have a glass of wine with food, or even without food on occasion. That is social drinking with a natural social limit. But in others, there is much more of a binge drinking mentality. This is completely different and presents also different problems. In this respect, I can't be particularly proud of my own country, since Estonia comes fairly near the top of the world table for alcohol consumption per capita. But that's also what I mean. This is a societal issue. Countries and cultures differ, and we have to respect that. For that reason, for all passengers to consume alcohol is not something that can or should be dealt with as a separate issue for aviation. It relates to particular social attitudes and practices. It goes far wider and is far more general. We should trust wise people to limit themselves and not think of an outright alcohol ban on flights that would affect every single passenger regardless. This should be about informed and intelligent choices by individuals. Their choices should be respected, as they were, by the way, with a smoking ban on flights, because the world's traveling public as a majority asked for that. I don't think they are yet asking for a ban on booze. In practical terms, though, what can we do? For the moment, the EU has no plans to regulate in this area. I believe it is probably best to leave the matter to individual national governments and airlines. More exchange of best practice would benefit the world aviation industry. IATA, the industry body, already has a very useful guidance on unruly passenger prevention and management. Enforcement of airline policies regarding drunken behavior could be strengthened. There could also be stricter penalties for drunk passengers who cause havoc on a flight. We should also shift the focus to preventing incidents before they happen. Safety in the air begins on the ground. In-flight alcohol-related incidents often start before the passenger boards the aircraft, in airport bars and duty-free shops. And we should increase public awareness, campaigns to make people to make informed choices and know the risks. Campaigns against alcohol abuse, where in airports or aircrafts. In-flight magazines already give medical advice about the differences of consuming alcohol and altitude. We could make more of this. Ultimately, I believe this is a commercial decision for airlines. If an airline wants to market itself as a no-drinks airline with no alcohol flights, and this proves to be a commercial success, then so be it. If there is demand, it is up to the market to respond. I would wish them every success. Thank you very much for your attention.